All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning. For those of you that I do not know, my name is Heather Hankamer, and I am proud to be the president of the Dallas Regional Science and Engineering Fair. I was trying to count yesterday. I think this is my seventh or maybe eighth fair, so I'm excited. I'm excited that we're going to be back in person, normal fair, what I like to call the kids will be shoulder to shoulder. And it's going to be awesome. Their deadline to turn in the materials is today, so we're fielding a lot of worried kids that did this upload, did this happen, did all of that. So we'll know Monday of next week how many projects we have and how we're going to sort out the judges. So just real quick, kind of our philosophy around the Dallas Regional Fair is that we are the fair that teaches the students how to be interviewed and compete, and really give them the full fair experience. So a lot of our ISDs, so we cover all of Region 10, which I'll talk about, but all of our ISDs do usually some kind of fair, but we are really the fair where they are actually competing for first, second, and third place amongst their peers. So we're going to talk about the organization itself. We're going to talk about scoring, and we're going to talk about conduct. So both student and judge. So we have been doing our fair for since 1957, and we run all of Region 10, which is a lot of students. So we're talking Plano, Frisco, Allen, Dallas, Richardson. So we have quite a big region that we serve. So we generally have about 1,000 students at the fair. So this is junior and senior level. And the winners of our fair, first and second place, can go to the Texas Science and Engineering Fair, which is at A&M, and then Regeneron International Fair, which is actually in Dallas this year. And then our junior winners can go to the Thermo Fisher Scientific Junior Innovators Challenge. So that replaced Broadcom. Broadcom went away this year, and Thermo Fisher has stepped in and is organizing that competition. So we have two kinds of judges. We have red ribbon judges, which is what you all are. So you are judging, you self-identified a category in which you have a particular either interest or experience or education in. And then we have our blue ribbon judges, and those represent our special awards. So any organization, a lot of the professional local organizations give special awards to our students. So we figure the more winners, the merrier. All right, so we are divided into junior and senior. So junior we consider 6th, 7th, and 8th. Senior is 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then we use the same 21 categories that ISEF uses. We do have usually a need. Some of our categories that have 2 or 3 projects in them, we have to combine into bigger categories. So judging teams, let's get down to the actual judging. At the end, I'll have time for questions, but you can certainly also put your questions in the chat if you need. So we number our teams. So on Monday, when we know what students are going where, we will number our judging teams. It's generally, we have about 80 judging teams. So each team has a captain, so basically somebody that's in charge, that's responsible for turning in the winner sheets. And then we'd like to have 3 judges per team. That's our goal. ISEF tells us that we must have 2 judges per finalist, right? So whether it's a team or an individual, we have to have at least 2 judges. for that individual. And then some of our categories get so large we have to split them up. Robotics is a perfect example of one we generally have to split up. So it's not feasible for, 3 judges or 4 judges to judge, 20 projects, right? So we would split that up into 2 judge groups. So you would do round 1 with your core projects, and then the 2 judge groups would come together to talk about first, second, and third, and compare projects. So again, here's the round 1. So if you only have 1 judge team, you turn in your winners and your honorable mentions and you're done. If you have several, more than 1, sometimes 3 judge teams, then you first fill out your blue form, which is what you determined for your team of finalists. And then you all get together and determine the actual final winners. So the way the morning goes is 7:30 is when everyone starts arriving. So students and judges arrive at the same time, around the same time. So students will be dropped off. They are only allowed to bring in their project board and their lab notebook. So typically lab notebooks are a handwritten notebook that they've used and taken throughout their research. And this is different from years past where they were allowed to bring in a prototype or a demo. And we're trying to get the students to really realize that this is an interview and not them demoing their product. And so we've going to try this year. We had a little bit of pushback from students, obviously, but want to really make sure that they understand this is their time to talk with a judge and be interviewed. It's not the time for them to demo a product. All right, so we talked about round 2. So those that have multiple judge teams, y'all will come together to discuss. You can go look at projects together. And so then one captain will turn in 1 sheet for winners. So here's the actual schedule. So we'll start right at 9 and as close to 9 as we possibly can. And you will have until noon to judge your projects. You should have no more than 13 projects to judge. And so then the students will be dismissed at noon. So that gives you a chance after the students have left to even go back and look at projects if there are questions, or even discuss different projects with your judging team. We offer a lunch buffet. This year we'll be having an Italian ziti and Caesar salad and green beans. So we invite you to stay for lunch if you would like. And then when we talk about scoring, so first of all, we use the same score sheets, engineering and science, as ISEF does. And there is a number rubric on the score sheets themselves. And we want you to use that as a guide, right? So it's not this project got 101 and this project got 102 or, whatever. Use those scores as a basis for your discussions with the other judges. This is, as you all know, research is not something we can really put a specific scoring metric to. So we really want you to use those scores as the basis for your discussion. And so there's also some things that we want you to consider. So here's what you will get: a physical copy of this for each project that you are interviewing. So these will be emailed out to you so you can take a look at them. But the science project, and then an engineering project. So I will say we have Not a lot. It's interesting. COVID has really affected the number of teams that we see. So students are allowed to do projects with other students. There can be 3 people to a team. We didn't see a lot of teams in 2022. We don't know if that was just, it was harder to get together or whatnot. But at the bottom of each score sheet, you'll see that what we really want to see from a team is that all the members of the team, whether that's 2 or 3, really participated, not only in the project, but in the interview process. And if one team member is absent, we ask you to consider that when you are scoring. And it will tell, there will be a sheet. Actually, I think it's my next slide. Let's see. This sheet right here will tell you, so right here, team and individual, it will tell you if you're looking for just one person or more than one person. So I'm going to go back and say, okay, so here is some things on scoring. So each judge will interview every project in your group. There will only be one judge at a project at a time. You are allowed to ask many detailed questions, and we ask that you keep that interview for under 10 minutes. So typically what the students are told, they are told that they should prepare a minute to minute and a half intro if the judge asks for it. So you as a judge, as you're coming up to the student, is more than welcome to say, please tell me about your project. So the one thing I want to say here is that if a student starts to just dominate the conversation, you as a judge are allowed to say, can we take a pause? I'd like to ask some questions. This should really be an interview back and forth. And not, students are so excited and so nervous that they want to tell you everything they did at every moment, and you as a judge are allowed to say, wait, let's stop and have this as a conversation. So let's see, I have a question for Mike. You said to take into account if a team member is missing. Yeah, so there's a number there, so 25 on the interview. So if you have a team member that's missing, take something off that 25. Totally up to you. Like if it's, a team of 3 and only one of them are there, that is problematic. And so it's really up to you and the other judges to decide how much you're going to take off, how much they're not being, everyone present is going to affect their score. So really, that is up to you all as judges. And then we'll have tables scattered throughout the hall there at Fair Park for you to sit down after you've interviewed a student and take notes. So it will be, you'll have folders and clipboards, but there's also places for you to go and do your evaluation away from the student. So we have found this has been a lifesaver for us. We actually stole this from another fair, the red dots. So you'll be given some red dots, and we ask you that once you have interviewed a student to place a dot on their title. It'll be a sheet of paper that they have there at their table that will look just like this. And so you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, if you will place a red dot there, we will know how many judges that student has seen. This helps make sure that no one gets missed. And it also, students get confused or, don't know the difference between red category judges and blue special award judges. So this helps really with that problem, and we can make sure that if somewhere around 10:30 or 11, if a student hasn't seen anyone, we may have had an error on getting that assigned. So that helps us a lot. That their forms will be there if they must have their Form 1C or Form 7 if it's required. And so a Form 1C is work done at an institution. So some of these students are doing pretty high level research work in labs with professors at universities. And just keep in mind, your only responsibility as a judge is to judge their work, not any work that was done by a professor or a lab manager. And then Form 7 is for a continuation. We see this a lot in the senior level, that they start in a project and they want to continue. And you only are required to judge this year's work. So not go back and look at the work they did last year, but only this year's work. So let's talk about the dues of judging. So we've got a range here. So if you're a junior, you've got a 6th, 7th, or 8th grader that is just starting to get their feet wet in research and asking their own questions. And we really want our competition and the judge process to be positive for these students. We really encourage getting students excited about research in middle school, and hope that they will take it all the way through to when they go to high school. So remember that if you're in the junior division, you are really planting the seed and encouraging them to ask maybe bigger questions or different questions. And really, we want them to feel like it was a positive experience. And so when we get into the senior level, we also start to talk about who did what, right? So this is along the lines of, for me, I, over the years, have looked at projects and said, wow, these students are asking big questions and using, using labs and all of that. And you can start to wonder, did they really, how involved were they in this work, right? So I want to say a couple of things about that. One, we really rely on our fairs that feed into Dallas Regional to do a good job of stopping that, right? So usually what happens is the teacher in the classroom that is working with the student will be the first to say, red flag, there might be something. The student doesn't exactly know everything or have an understanding. So let's really take a step back and see how much work the student is doing. So please know that you are gonna be blown away by some of these projects, especially at the senior level. They are asking big questions and finding big answers, and they're exploring things that will impress you. And so if you think or you have a question about their level of involvement in their project, please ask questions to verify that. So ask them a question that they should know the answer to. And if you still are unsure, come see me, come find me. I'll be at the judge's desk all day. And we have people on our team that can also take that verification and ask some questions and make sure that we've got a project that was done by a student. So we take this very seriously. We verify all the winners. We have an SRC team of about 12 people on site that day, that as soon as winners start coming in, they're reading their abstracts, they're looking for their forms. So know that it's not all on you in the judging process, to make sure that they have, followed safety guidelines and all that. But if you do have questions or you do see something that doesn't sit right, please come see me and let us take the time to make sure that we're all on the same page. So don't judge someone you know. So if by chance you have some conflict that comes up between now and the 18th, please let me know. Don't ask them about their parents or their school. Don't ignore weak projects. So if you have a project that's a little bit weaker, ask them encouraging questions to get them to think on a broader scale and a different way about their projects. So offer suggestions and not criticism. And please don't discuss your judging process with students, parents, or teachers, because I promise you they will take it and run with it and start comparing my son's project to this guy's project, and so this is a process, and we don't need to involve students, parents, or teachers. So we'll have each judging group will have a captain. If you are asked to be the captain, we just ask that you make sure that we maintain the timetable and that everybody has a voice in your winners. And then the captain's main responsibility is to turn in their scoring sheets. We need all scoring sheets by 1:30. So in your judge folders, you will have the scoring sheets that we looked at, the red dot schedule, and the list of the projects that you're supposed to visit. We include a judge survey, so would love to hear how we're doing and anything you think we can do to improve. And then just return your folders and your name tag back to the desk before you leave. So we should, again, have, I'm thinking around 800 projects. So we have 200 to 250 judges signed up. And so if for some reason you're not able to come that morning or whatever, just send an email to that DRSEF judge at smu.edu and we will get that. So at this point, I am going to open it up to any questions anyone might have. You can put them in the chat or you can unmute yourself. Now I just need to open the chat. I think so. Okay, so what level weight evaluation should be placed upon the data logbooks provided by each participant? I think the logbooks are a great way to see the students' progress. I think especially when you're thinking about their level of understanding, even things that went wrong that taught them something or showed them something different. I would put that the logbook up there pretty high, because it should be their daily journal of their journey. Remember, these students probably started their projects in September and were asked to turn them in to their schools, probably mid-January, right? So they've worked a long time on them. So that logbook should be pretty full. Is there a dress code for judges? So we encourage you to wear comfy shoes. It is a lot of walking on concrete, and if you have a company you're representing and want to wear a logoed shirt, that's great. But no, we do not require the judges to dress up. Who knows what the weather will be, because it's Texas, but it's an old building in Fair Park, so it can be a little drafty. So consider comfort in shoes and in layers of clothes when you're thinking about that. So will we have time to preview projects without the student present? So you will be receiving a link. They were required to do a digital board like they have in the past. So one of the gifts we got from COVID was learning how to collect this kind of information from students and what it should look like. So I'm hoping we're sitting at the 3rd, if not next week, the Monday of the week of the fair, you will be receiving a link to a box file with all of your students' information. So it will have their abstract, their digital board. So you'll be able to look at it before. If you don't have time to look at it, that's not a problem, but a lot of judges like to be able to see that before they even arrive at Fair Park. yes, you will be able to go back to when the students are released at noon. We encourage judges to go back and look at boards and deliberate. So please do feel free to do that. Someone asked the exact address of the venue. We will be sending out, and I'm not gonna say the exact address because I don't want to give you the wrong address, but we will be sending out all of that information, and you will also get a parking pass, so that when you arrive there at the Centennial Hall, you will be directed to go to the nearby parking lot for judges to park. All right, what else can I answer? I see several familiar names on here, so a lot of you have been judging for many years and could probably give this presentation better than I can at this point. But you'll probably have a first timer on your team, so please share your knowledge and your experience. And these kids are, again, super smart, asking big questions. So if there's any questions from you all as judges, I'm going to be right there, and we've got a team of people that can help answer any questions or anything that might not seem right. All right, well, I am going to stick around. If you have any other, let's see, does the session replace the orientation? Yeah, so there will still be an orientation sort of in the morning, not really. I actually can save a lot of money by not putting up a screen and doing all of that. So I've decided to spend that money somewhere else. So I'll be around for questions if you have them, but this really does replace that orientation that we used to do. I think if you take, how much time do you have to take notes between interviews? I think you could probably, when you arrive, if you have 7 projects, that's an hour and 10 minutes worth of time with students, but you really have 3 hours. So you could probably spend 3 or 4 minutes between projects to take your notes. So we haven't ever come up with a good way to help you all as judges know when that 10-minute increment is. So we kind of really leave it up to you, whether you set a timer on your watch of 10 minutes or just kind of watch the clock. 10 minutes sounds like a short period of time, and it is, especially when these kids have a lot to say, and you have probably, and there's a lot on their board too. So I encourage you, if you can, look at their digital projects before you arrive, and I think that will really help. So the judges go individually to projects. So there will be one judge per student. So when you first start as a judging group, you'll each go to a different student and then start to switch. All right, like I said, I'm going to stick around, but that is the meat of the orientation. If you have any questions, we'll start sending out information next week. So just be patient with me as we get all the students in. We're already seeing students wanting a deadline extension because of the weather. So we're going to do our best to get most of the information in by Monday. So thank you all.